This is Takehiko Inoue, and this is me. Okay, no. This is Takehiko Inoue, creator of Vagabond, Slam Dunk, and Reel, and this is me, creator of this omelette. Lots of protein and nice nutrition, I guess. The rules are very simple. For a whole week, I'll only be using Inoue's works as references, while trying to minimize using any other kind of tutorial. Each drawing is going to take half an hour to 1 hour to complete, and by the end of the video, I'll try to draw this, where I'll spend 2 hours putting in my maximum effort, trying to ink it and also shade it. So, let's begin. Now, my history with art actually goes all the way back to middle school, and I actually used to draw a lot back then. The issue was, they were very low effort drawings, and the ones that I did put effort in were heavily relying on the reference in front of me, and some of them completely traced. And I mean, get your iPad, put it on full brightness, put a paper on there, and trace every single line. And that obviously removes one of the hardest parts of drawing, which is finding the proportions yourself. So this here is actually my first attempt. I basically drew the Colossal Titan because this head is way too small. The second attempt is a lot better. I'm very happy with it. The overall shape of the body is something I'm very happy with. I did get a few comments that the face was too small, but I actually think I might have gotten it right this time because I assume the character from the manga, which I haven't read, is someone that is very tall. So naturally your head is gonna look much smaller in comparison. Yeah, I think this one is pretty good. It's just lacking the details in terms of the clothes and coloring the skin and shading, which I don't think I can do at the moment. So now we're drawing Musashi from Vagabond, and you can see here I'm starting with the guidelines. I've watched a ton of videos years ago on how to draw the face, so I'm very aware that, for example, the eyes should be in the middle, and then you should divide the face into 3 equal thirds for the proportions. It's just that I know the recipe, I haven't actually cooked with it yet. Like, I haven't put it into practice, so you can see when I first follow the rules very strictly, the face looks very off, and later on I'm gonna have to like erase a bit of stuff and redo it again for it to look right. My main goal with this was just to be able to tell it's Musashi by looking at him, and I think you can definitely tell this can be no one else except Musashi. So on that, I have succeeded. There are a few things bothering me about the drawing, and I can tell from the picture he's looking slightly down, but this jaw over here, I think there's too much space from the ear to the first curve of the jaw. Something there is just, I believe it's too long of a line. His lips here look like they're making a smirk, like he's smiling a little, but the actual drawing is more of him thinking, or like a, what do I do now type of face. So I didn't properly capture that emotion or that state of mind he's in. And again, the hair was very random. I was not trying to copy strand per strand. I was just going from the center of the head and just flowing down. This is making me realize I think I should get a brush pen for the hair because I believe Inoue uses brushes for the hair. Learning that would be amazing because I'm not really sure how to approach it with a pencil. Like, am I supposed to draw each strand, or am I supposed to draw a silhouette and then fill the strands inside? Everything here looks so off from the original. I did try to follow the rule of thirds. These were my first 2 attempts. You can see here that, I mean, it speaks for itself really. Sometimes the eyes were too big, sometimes they were too small. This here is another one of my attempts, and honestly it looks a lot better than those first 3 I showed you guys. And let's just not talk about these guys. But you know what? Do you see the vision? Okay. I think you can tell exactly what I was going for here. So, we can try this again in the future. This was the best that I could get. Pretty good in terms of a human head. It's just that it doesn't fully replicate the one that I was trying to draw. I mean, the shape of the head is way too round. You can see his jaw is much wider than it should be. He should have a much longer head. But I'm pretty happy with how far this has taken us. Now, going into this, I was fully intending to draw this panel in as much detail as I possibly can, but it really humbled me, and I can't tell if the baggy clothes makes it easier or harder because I'm not aware of the anatomy that's beneath it. But I just was like, you know what, let me at least make something, even if it's not good. So this here is the final product, and even though it is very incomplete in many ways, and if you actually look at each specific thing, I would say this is absolutely terrible. Overall, I'm still very happy because it looks like a really high quality draft or high quality storyboard, like something that you would draw before the actual drawing itself. I was able to capture the movement that I wanted and just the overall composition and the shapes. I think I got right, which is something I didn't think I could do. But now if you were to critique it, the proportions here are an absolute disaster. Like, if you look at where the sword ends in the actual drawing, it's just under the end of his hair. But then you look at the drawing overall, and it's like, how is the handle almost as long as the sword? Like, something here is very wrong. And drawing the head is something I had to erase so many times. I could not get the side profile, so I just gave up on drawing the details of the face. But yeah, make of it what you want. I'm pretty happy with it, and it's something I'll definitely revisit in the future because this is one of my favorite panels ever. This here is Kojiro. Again, the first comment I kept getting is the head is way too small, and it definitely is. At least it's showing me something that I have to work on for my next drawings. Upon first impression, this is definitely one of my more decent drawings, but I think I didn't fully capture the presence that this character has, which he has a lot of if you've read the manga. Drawing hands is something I've never learned before. I was just trying to copy exactly what I saw without any basics or foundations in my mind. And actually I felt the previous drawing was a lot easier because I was seeing everything that was under the body, like his shoulders, his biceps, his forearms. And even if he's wearing a tank top, it's still really showing the outline of his body, while with this one, it's just so baggy and you can't even see the separation between his legs. So I was just drawing these random lines because I'm not, or at least I haven't learned how to show the texture of clothes yet and to shade and to properly draw the folds. But this was still very fun to do. So I start by measuring the height of the reference image with my pencil, and really the whole point of this drawing is to see if I can avoid the mistakes I've made throughout this video and just use this as a checkpoint for whether I gained something from this challenge. Like, did I end up improving or did I end up the same way? And I don't even know this guy that I'm drawing. I just know he's from the manga Reel, which I've heard many people say is just as life-changing as Vagabond, if not more. So I'm very excited to get into that. But this drawing here is the one that took me the longest to finish by far, almost 2 hours, because I'm actually going to try to ink it and color it, which unfortunately I have very limited coloring resources, but I try to do the best with what I had. Drawing the hands is such a pain, like it's literally right there. All I have to do is just copy it, but man, I keeps looking like this, bro. What is this alien? Now this was a very fun video for me to make and extremely rewarding in terms of the outcome. But the big thesis of this video is that if you actually want to show up to something and pursue it on the long term, a skill or a passion that you're interested in, you need a reason to be consistent in it. Over a month ago, when I intended to come back to drawing, I saw a bunch of tutorials on the lines that you should practice and the shapes and drawing boxes from perspective. And these things are extremely important, but I found myself really struggling to even show up to the drawing every day because the thing that inspired me to draw was something I wasn't doing. So for an entire week, I wanted to draw the very thing that inspired me. And of course, at some point, you're gonna have to sit down and do the boring stuff where it feels like you're studying. I mean, think of a tennis player, for example. Yes, they have to play tennis against another person in an actual match, but there's other stuff like training in the gym and stretching and eating properly. But what I'm trying to highlight is when you tie it to something you're very passionate about, something that inspires you, something that brings you joy, and that makes you show up to it every single day. There's something very powerful about the improvement that this can actually bring you. And the past week of drawing stuff from Takehiko Inoue was just an experiment to actually test this thesis. And I want to continue to do so while also practicing the more boring stuff in the future. And this message is not specific to just this art challenge, but whatever passion it is that you have, if you can find a reason to make you show up every day where it feels almost like a video game, just that in itself can take you very far because consistency is king. And you know, coincidentally, there's a character from Vagabond that represents exactly what I'm talking about. When you just do something for the love of the game and you become so good at it just by doing that. And I will be making a video on him in the future. But for now, I hope you all enjoyed the video and I'll see you in the next one.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell.